I'm the queen of non sequiturs.
Let's do this. Welcome to the
Kiki
and Cowboy podcast. It's our misadventures, as you all know. Today we're going to talk about something unique. Actually, it's just another.
as opposed to all the other things we talk about that
those
are
are very run-of-the-mill.
ordinary and run of the mill.
Yes. So I think our story today is an aquatic adventure. Picture, if you will,
Quite the setup.
bodies of water. Well, specifically,
Bodies of what?
just one. It's a river. Okay, we're going to talk about a river.
I think
today.
that's generous.
We're going to
for
talk
the description of where we're going.
We're going to talk about a situation where Kiki.
No, don't give it all away. Don't give it away.
Okay.
You're like giving away right up the front.
All right, we're going to set the
Man.
stage. Fine. Well, okay, we could get to the point for one of these.
My gosh.
We've never done a 30-second podcast.
Yeah, that would have been it.
So that would have been it. Yeah, we were almost right at 30 seconds just
Look
then.
at that.
If you don't count the open.
I kept us from.
Yep. Oh, well. So we're not
From
doing a short one this
success
time,
yet
everybody.
again.
Yep. Okay. Well, okay. How shall we set the stage, my dear Kiki?
Well, I was just thinking that maybe we would, me,
I do.
start from the beginning.
Oh, fine. Let's start from the beginning.
How about some background context?
Okay. In the beginning, there was a large explosion.
Not that far back.
Okay. So we'll move past the dinosaurs.
So last
invention
summer,
of the wheel.
I'm just gonna cut to the chase so
Opposable
that save
thumbs.
everybody here. Last summer we did an extended family vacation
with Cowboy's family.
with Cowboy's family.
Yep. Big
Yes,
family. We have a
and
large family.
you have a large family.
Rather large Texas family.
I don't know.
correct.
Is that like a large Texas family?
It's an
most
average-
families
it's
in
an
Texas have a
average Texas
large.
family.
I would just think it's a large family.
It's a large
no matter
family.
what state we're
Small
in.
for some religions.
How
maybe.
many total in your family?
Let's not answer that question. We don't have I would need a chalkboard and an abacus
Yes.
because
Yeah.
we use either one of those ever.
A chalkboard and an abacus?
Yes.
Okay. So anyway,
It's big family,
extended family.
extended family
You
excursion.
have like 7 in your immediate family.
yes, 7 sibs.
And then there's extensions on the
extended
extensions.
Sibs, yes.
Yes. Anyway,
Bonus, lots of bonus.
just
fam.
trying to give people an idea when I say a large family.
Not a small family.
It's not.
The let's say my mother's grandchildren count is exceeded 20 something now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting. I think it's getting.
I think it's close to
approaching
30.
Yeah, 30.
I think it's pretty close to 30.
She's close. Yeah.
Yeah. Cowboy's family is prolific.
Yes.
I'm cracking myself up over here.
Yeah. Prolific. Yes.
My
Well said.
big 50-cent words.
Okay. Yeah. That's a.
So anyway,
I didn't know
get
how
back
much
to the
those-
topic. So
those cost.
we were going to take an extended family vacation.
and we did.
A family vacation with the extended family, not an extended vacation with the extended family, as in
It was only like 4 days.
it was like 4 days, right? So I didn't want people to think we
It
were
was
like
a long
2
weekend.
weeks or something. It was just a nice long weekend.
A single long weekend.
And the
In
locale that your
The fair
family
month of June, I think.
was it? No, I think it was July.
Oh,
June?
fine. I don't recall.
Oh wow, I don't either.
Let's say
Anyway,
it was just for
I think it's
argument's
July.
sake. It's July.
I want to say it's
Why not?
July.
It's a fine month for a Texas river.
Yeah, because there were some birthdays.
But I
that
do want
was
to back up a little
around
bit.
that
And say
time. Yes.
So some history of this location.
That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah. So there
Thank
are
you.
some birthdays approximately. Yeah. So we're not going that far. So my family years back, and I'm talking early teens, maybe.
When the
it was very
dinosaurs
early.
roamed the
Very-
earth?
Yeah, very funny. So I think the first time we went to this place was I think it was about 11, and so
You were 11.
I think I was 11 or 12 or something to that effect. But it's a place in San Marcos,
Yeah.
Texas, and it's there's a lovely river there, or it used to be lovely river called the Canal, and I'm sure it has its days, but back then
And the Guadalupe.
and
Both
the Guadalupe River, yep,
Kamal and the Guadalupe both go through
and
that
we call
area.
it the Guadalupe here in Texas.
We do not.
Yes, we do.
We do not.
I have always called it Guadalupe.
Well, I can't help if
Locals
you're
probably call it the Guadalupe, but I call it the Guadalupe. Guadalupe River.
interesting.
Right. So, and I've been down it many times. So, in my youth. So my family would rent a house at a certain location there on the bend in the Canal River.
Yes.
And just have a great
And
time.
it was a little outside of San Marcos, actually.
Little
It's
bit,
not it's not actually in San
like
Marcos
New
proper.
Braunfels area.
Yeah, New Braunfels was closer.
That's probably more accurate. But long story short, the water was clear. We could see fish at the bottom. It wasn't murky, and we would swim.
You would go every year, right?
Regularly. We went several times, and it was a lot of fun. So
a lot of fond memories as kids.
Fond memories
inner
as
tubes. So for those of you who have not
tubed down a Texas river,
tubed down the river, yeah, lots of fun.
Yep.
You take giant donut-sized inflatable tubes.
that kind of get hot in the sun.
Yep,
Keep them wet with
you
the
float in the water,
cold river water,
and then I don't know, you just bounce along
float,
down the.
You drink alcohol. You sing songs.
And we're talking
play some music.
Day-long adventure.
Yes, it's hours of floating. Yep.
Yeah.
And you wear river shoes because at some point you have to put your feet down.
Mm-hmm.
And from years before that, they used to have glass bottles, so occasionally there would be glass. And then recently, and we'll get to that. We'll get to the things.
We'll get to the recently, yeah.
But anyway, there was my family had some nostalgia
and just rocks. Like it's very rocky, pebbly. You have to walk over stuff, and
you might scrape your ankles.
Yeah.
You gotta be careful. So you definitely had to wear river shoes. So my family had some nostalgia around that area. So we decided this summer we did it, that we were going to bring the next generation, who are a lot of these my kids, my mother's grandkids are now late teens, early 20s.
Yeah,
so
young
and they
adults.
had not been subjected to this adventure.
They've not.
No, this was the first time.
That's right now. I didn't even know that.
Yep,
going into
first time we'd
I thought
done tubing
it
down a
was
river.
I was the only one.
Nope.
First time going to the river to float the river.
Most of the younglings, or whatever we want to call them, it was their first time.
I had no idea.
Yep, it was.
Wow. Yep. Okay.
And we sold them a bill of goods because my memory was...
We did indeed.
So let's just say things have changed. I know there was a huge flood, a heavy raining season back, I want to say 2012, that had washed the river and everything near it away.
So about there was 10 some years
serious
or so ago.
Damage. Yeah, the water level was so high that a lot of the buildings were gone. A lot of the trees, those huge oak trees that used to be there, were gone.
Because they would overhang the river.
Yeah, it was lots of shade. And, the river, there was so much erosion. It was so different. So... Yeah. And there was a lot of erosion control now, so there's a lot more concrete and things that I hadn't seen in the past. So
yes, it seemed a little bit more like a canal,
than a river.
Right. If I could make the distinction between the two.
Fierce flood over 10 years ago.
Yes.
So we
and in fact, one of the places that you all loved so much either was gone or we weren't actually...
Heavy reconstruction.
Yeah.
We weren't able to book it.
And we weren't able to book it.
Which is unfortunate.
And so we ended up staying at a slightly different place.
Yep.
So...
Which was less than optimal for our memories.
Yeah.
But so long story short, though, we decided
access to the river, because if I recall, one of the reasons you loved that place...
Because you literally could walk a few
just
feet down the hill and
walk
you're in the
to the river. Okay.
Whereas where we stayed was more of a condo area that had a bit of a hike.
Yeah. Well, we had to drive a car.
We did have to drive a car.
And I don't know how it was when you used to go, but when we went on our family trip, we all piled in a couple of cars.
The extended family, non-extended excursion.
Drove, I don't know, 10 minutes,
into
whatnot,
the middle of downtown.
Into the middle of downtown. And then you go to an entry to the river that is actually quite built up. Like there's a commercial spot there.
And a ramp, yes, where you
can rent a tube. They have a ramp.
The insurance.
Just
put down deposits.
Pay exorbitant amount of money.
It was not inexpensive for an inner tube, and you do all the work yourself.
Inexpensive,
Things have changed.
Now, when you were kids, though, you would just literally have your own tubes and just
we would
walk down to the edge of the river.
We'd get in one part, float around for a little bit, walk out, and then hike again. Yeah. Whereas now we were far enough down that we had to go by car.
Yeah, go to the start.
And there was a vehicle that would retrieve us once we got out later.
Yes, that was part of the fee, right? Is that the company selling you the rafts or the tubes would come and pick you up.
Driver service, right? They would retrieve
Right, because it's a one-way trip.
Yep, it's a river. That's how it works.
Oh, well, I guess that would, yeah.
Yeah, they haven't made those that circle unless circumnavigate maybe. So essentially what happened was we sold ourselves on the idea that, we should do the 4-hour trip.
Yes.
So the longest one. So they put us in the furthest point up. We got in the river with everybody. And immediately, some of the young ones were like, someone needs to hold my stuff. And that became my job.
Well, so just to give everybody a picture, like we park across the street, right?
Yes.
And you have to walk, not even 5 minutes. But I mean, generally, if you're not wearing water shoes, you've got a pair of shoes. Some of the young adults over, wanted to have on some fashionable shorts and shirt, because otherwise you're just walking around downtown in your bathing suit,
which seems odd.
Completely. It does feel a little odd.
Yeah.
Even though
you're going to spend 4 hours with strangers in an inner tube in the same outfit.
Yeah. Well, yes, but you're not, generally wandering around downtown, just like on the sidewalk in the streets, right? And then on top of it, you need to come prepared. And I think this is maybe where the misadventure
lots of poor communication
started.
Misunderstanding.
So, I could, if we wanted to, I could back up to even before we arrived.
Do so.
So
I know where this is going.
So
this is where Kiki. Does anyone else feel an "I told you so" moment coming? I feel it.
I think there were
multiple.
I lived it,
and I'm still surprised.
I think there were sub misadventures within the misadventure.
mini misadventures.
Yes, many misses.
Many misadventures.
So, I think
registered trademark.
I didn't know what to expect. This was my first river trip. I was peppering you with questions, and my love is not great about
Kiki does not like water.
Communicating all of the plans when you have a large family.
That was a non sequitur for you.
Yes, I know. You have a large family.
Yes.
They're on a family chat thread, which at the time I was not on.
So she was not
so I'm not apprised of anything.
Misinformed, as we like to say.
It would require that my husband relay some of that information to me. And so I think there were several sub-conversations happening, and it probably, I'm not from a large family, so I'm just going to assume that what happens is a couple of siblings talk and sort of make some plans. Usually, I'm going to guess again, the planners of the group. They're like, hey, you know what we should do? We should do X, Y, Z. And then it's kind of a trickle down theory of then there are the sub communications that happen with the other maybe less planning oriented people.
Yep.
And then of course those people have opinions about what we should or shouldn't be doing. And then the plan changes again.
Yes.
Right. And so there is this, for those of you in big families, I'm sure you totally recognize this. There's this interesting push and pull of communication back and forth. As it's being negotiated.
Last minute after we've already agreed to a certain thing. So they have to change drivers.
So, and my husband is, so that's coming down. Like, and I'm asking him, peppering him with questions in the car, whatnot. And of course,
she's getting a lot of sure. And I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And that would probably be because my husband didn't actually read the email, the text messages either. Thing. Like it's just constant.
You just have to be staring at the screen.
It's a constant thread. It's like watching the stock market exchange.
Yes, I have sisters.
Going.
Yes.
So I have an idea in my head what's going to happen, right? And then the next morning,
best laid plans.
Yes, the next morning, my husband is an early bird, as are some, not all of the siblings. So again, the key planning siblings,
some of the littles
tend to be particularly early. Mm-hmm. So off he goes. That morning, the whole family is staying in the same kind of condominium village so that we could all join each other on patios and be, nearby, right?
Social.
So off he goes. I am still getting ready. I think I know what the plan is. And so I come down not that late. I mean, I'm not an early morning person, but I came down at I would say a reasonably early time.
Between 8 and 9.
Yeah. Like it was not noon, I guess is the point, right?
Yeah, my mother and I are like 6 a.m.
Yeah. You guys are really early. Yeah. So I come down.
My sister too.
And everybody, this particular group, a small group, is
the Early Riser Collective.
The Early Risers are on the patio.
The ERC.
And I walk in first thing, like, hi, meeting everybody, or, just saying good morning to everybody. And I also, just for the record, have not spent a lot of time with
at that point
most of your family at this point. So I've met all of them to some degree or another, but I haven't like vacationed and spent a lot of time. You don't
know someone until you travel with them a little bit.
And I haven't built up like long, many year relationships with these people. So it's still fairly new to me. And so I walk in on the patio and my husband, like almost the first thing,
I see where this
he just is like, so we've decided, kind of, and you can hear kind of like,
we have decided,
like the Judge Judy gavel, like dong dong, or no, that's Law and Order, the Law and Order gavel, right? We've decided.
We have spoken. The people have spoken, and choices have been made.
And I'm like, oh, okay. And I don't even think I've sat down yet.
Oh, she hasn't even had coffee yet.
And then my husband says, hard left turn here, people, like screeching brakes. And he's like, so I told everybody I've decided for us, yes, that we're going to stay behind. We're not going to go on the river trip and we're just going to drive everybody, drop them off. And
still wish I'd stuck with that plan.
Yeah. We're going to drive everybody, drop them off. And then we're going to come back.
Foreshadowing.
And we're just going to hang out. There is a portion of the river near where we are, but it's
walk, but you can.
But it's a very
take,
like it's not
take
one
camping chairs and you can kind of sit them in it and it floats by.
It's quite slow.
Yeah, it's a cool river. It's nice.
And your parents,
we're planning on doing.
We're going to plan on doing that because your parents aren't super mobile, right? So but so you say that to me in front of everybody in this like. That's what's been decided. And then you say, unless you have a problem with that, like
in front of everyone.
It's like, and I'm just still sitting there kind of
ambush
processing like, okay. And then two, that I have a picture in my head of what this is going to be like. Now, my husband said earlier in this podcast, he said that I don't like the water. And that is a very accurate statement. I am a water sign if I was to look at my horoscope, and that's about as much water as I want to have in my life. So I am really not a water person.
She's often dehydrated.
I am actually. And I had really geared myself up for the river. And so I was like, okay, it's my first time ever doing this. I don't like the water, but I don't want to be a spoil sport. I'm going to get like excited about it. It'll be fine. I'm going to be in the tube. I have this image in my head of what the day is going to be like. And and I've worked myself up for it, prepared myself. And I'm also thinking about the fact that like the whole family, need to be a part of it, be inclusive, all of this,
don't
right?
Want to be the outsider.
So anyway,
he
gives me that information. I said screeching brakes. And of course I just am like, fine. And that was probably about as much as
everyone pause there and know what fine means. Does everybody know what that means? Let's all think really hard.
And so, there not much else happens in that conversation other than it's time to head back to our room to start getting ready. And we get in the elevator and of course it's like silence. And my husband is kind of like,
I look at her and like, huh.
I'm thinking something's amiss. Like, but what's great about it is he has no clue. Like, he is like, what could possibly be the problem?
And
like,
I'm so oblivious. I'm so mired in, family and I'm
kids,
surrounded by all this
this,
things,
time,
juggling,
doing all the things, right?
I don't juggle well.
Yes. And so anyway, Kiki had a bit of a pout about, like, all of a sudden all the plans have changed completely 180 degrees
Arms
from
crossed,
what we were
foot
expecting.
tapping.
Whatever. Fine. That was it. That's how I was feeling. Fine.
I knew I was in deep shit.
So
I was still playing oblivious to it though.
So
purposefully.
At some point, sorry, hold on a second. So,
she's verklempt because she was
I'm
so
verklempt.
angry.
Yeah. I'm overwrought with
muscle
emotion.
memory of anger.
Yeah. And so we do end up having a discussion about it. And then you're like, I don't get why you're so angry. I thought I was doing you a favor. Like, you don't like the water. You don't like,
She'd
and I'm
worked
like, but
herself
it was
up
my
to the
first
water.
time. And now I'm like, and I was being quite pouty.
Yes, she was. She was fine.
Yeah. And so we resolve that we are going to go on the river trip.
Does everyone hear that? We resolved. There's a we. We resolved after a short.
After Kiki pouted and stomped her feet.
Yes.
Then we have to go back downstairs to tell everybody that the plans have changed.
While I was texting
again.
them. Yes.
That now we are going.
Yep.
At which point, other people say
they started. Yes, the dominoes started falling.
The dominoes
either way.
start falling.
So if
now,
you're going, then we don't have to go. Wait, but they're not going.
But
wait, they're bringing the beer.
Yes.
Oh, whoa! Everything just stir the pot.
It's a Jenga kind of thing where all of a sudden it's like, well, these kids want to go
on vehicles and
these kids want to go, but these kids aren't old enough to go by themselves.
So they have
Who's
to go
going to watch them?
Yep. Adults have to be
so
present.
Anyway, we reconcile
adults.
all of that, and then we go back up to the condo, and our task. This is the other decision that I think was a part of the.
I love that you remember this so
misadventure. Is again, I would like to distance myself from this decision because I was not consulted, which is it was decided that everybody's going to eat before they go on the trip and we are not going to pack any food. Somebody, not my husband.
That's never a good idea for Kiki.
Laid down the law. Like, no. And I get it.
Pretty sure my younger sister made that call.
With more than...
Because that's more stuff to bring. You got to bring a cooler.
And with as many kids as there are, it would be so expensive, right?
Yeah.
So, again, I'm up there and
Eat before you go.
I am being pouty.
And she's not a morning eater.
I am not. I usually fast. So that would be like, I don't eat until, afternoon. So that would be problematic for me as well. So I decided, I am in charge of me.
We're not leaving until Kiki has made a meal.
I am going to fix
and some
things to go. And I also am a bit of a planner. So I tend to over prepare. And I was like,
that usually works to our advantage.
I imagine I like to overpack in all ways, shapes possible.
That's why Misadventure
and I'm thinking,
has a trailer.
There's going to be kids who are hungry.
That is correct.
So I'm trying to figure out how to, and so I'm putting together sandwiches as best as I can.
On the river, yes.
Which really turned out to be like tortillas with maybe like peanut butter and jelly on it, right? Like, I mean, we're not talking
not
amazing because I had limited resources
just
here.
The Texas River.
And we're trying to encourage all the kids to eat like stuffed food in your faces, right? And all of this stuff. And we're trying to prepare minimal number of coolers with liquid, right? Which was generally water bottles, right? And that was about it.
And this was a hot summer day.
Very, very hot.
Yep.
So all of that happens before
we can leave.
We even leave.
Yep.
So fast forward to where
Frantic
Cowboy
Kiki
was talking about
tortilla, burrito, peanut butters.
I think we have a maximum of 2 coolers and 14 people.
14 floating people.
Approximately.
Yep.
And
most of them teens.
Who
do not pack for themselves.
do
They
not
barely prepare.
Plan well.
Not at all.
And then we have some fashionistas who want to look cute while they're walking on the street until they get to the water's edge.
And then suddenly they don't know what to do with the stuff.
And now,
all the stuff they brought.
Dad,
can you have this? Can you carry this? Can you put this in the cooler that's already full? My cute
designer jean shorts and my cute top and my shoes and
the cup I brought that doesn't have a lid,
and
but
what
I
do
still
I do
want to
with
keep
my
it upright.
iPhone, which, by the
phones.
way, Kiki ended up having waterproof cases.
She brought them.
Phones.
She planned ahead.
Overpacking.
It
what can I say?
Saved us a couple $1,000.
It did save us a little bit.
Yeah.
So we get to the
iPhones.
Everybody getting in
the chaos,
the tubes, and chaos I think is an apt description.
Have you ever watched the wildebeests cross a river? They all just kind of jump in. That's very much what it felt like. Everybody just starts jumping in, and they're
I'm watching it all.
Holding their shoes is like, Dad, can you hold these shoes? And it's like, I have no place to put your what. I got to change in my river shoes, Dad. And then I've got clothing, and that's the thing.
For more than one kid is asking you to hold things. Right. By the
Plus,
way,
I am a cooler person, so I have my tube and a cooler. I've got to keep from floating away in the cold.
The cooler sits in its own tube.
So you got to put your feet on it's attached.
You have to hold on to.
Yes.
And all of this, I'm watching all of this, and
chaos.
Again, not a water person, so I am like one of the last people, not the last, but I am towards the back to get in the water because I'm thinking, I thought we were going to do this in some kind of organized kind of fashion. I was kind of waiting for direction, and it
as nature intended.
Cowboy is right. It was like wildebeest crossing the water. It was just people jumping in everywhere. So I finally get in, and I'm not in a very good headspace still.
No, she's not.
And so I'm watching all of this happen, and it's just kind of like this whole group of people and
different directions,
and then me over on the side. Yes. And so I get in my tube, and as soon as I finally get in the tube, and I thought, okay, I'll get in the tube and we'll all float together. No, the current just takes me off
to the far left
side.
At this point in the river, it's pretty wide.
Yeah, it's quite wide, and it's not got a current that has like a lot of what is it like?
Rapids or anything?
Like rapids or anything?
It feels like a lake, but it has a current. It's a moving lake.
It definitely has a current. It definitely takes you places.
And there are a lot of people. That's the other thing is we're moving along, and there are quite a few people getting in.
A lot of people
it's heavily
at all
populated.
Times, and then
too many people. Honestly, it was a lot of people in the river.
It's also a challenge because I think for my body height,
the tubes,
I have like orangutan arms. Like I have longer arms than should be for my body shape, type, height, whatever. And I can't reach the water from my tube. There's such big tubes. Like you're sunk into it.
See, that's the thing is you got to kind of elevate your midsection.
Sure. Technique, right? Yeah, okay, fine. You teach me the finer points of tubing, apparently. We did not have an
orientation
So
prior.
all I have is my feet dangling in the water minimally that I can just kind of flutter kick. And
basically you're just splashing.
And I have my fingertips in the water, and I can just kind of barely splash right or left, but not much, right? And so I'm just floating adrift. I'm just floating adrift, and everybody else seems to kind of all go in a pack.
Well, we had made a centipede to where you hook your feet kind of near someone's shoulders.
Oh yeah, I'm not doing that.
Then you paddle together, and you really start cutting.
No,
cutting
I'm
through.
out. I'm out. This is just a hard no.
At some point, someone was saying row.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So if you can picture this cohesive group of people with the littles,
and I can't do much because I'm double tubing,
surrounded by some of the adults. My husband is quite a distance from me.
Yes. And I can't turn around because I'm double tubing.
Not turning around, not talking to me, not engaging with me. He's very occupied with the music because he's the music person.
True.
So
I'm also
he's occupied with the
double
music.
tubing, trying to keep up with all the kids' clothes and shoes.
Yes. And then
DJ.
And then if you can envision this cohesive, semi-loose formation of people floating down.
Nebulous.
And then there's Kiki just kind of floating
on the outer bank.
And it's like a ping pong ball hitting one side, getting caught in the mess, and then floating and getting caught on the other side. And I'm just literally zigzagging in this very haphazard way. So Kiki is making a big mess.
Yes. Well, she's as true to form.
I'm
Kiki
making this
is
an
doing
editing
her
nightmare
own
for
thing.
my husband.
Yes.
I just want everybody to know he's looking at me
All the
very
profanity.
intently.
I'm having to edit out so much profanity.
So Kiki is like bouncing her way down in this very haphazard, but behind the whole group.
Well behind us.
Well behind the group.
Yeah.
And so at some point, I hear one of the family members, which I think was your younger sister, and I can just kind of hear her saying,
"Oh,
like,
yes. What's ahead?
What happened to Kiki? Where is Kiki? Bring her, like, what is she doing? Why is she over there?" And I'm like, I don't know. I can't steer this bloody thing.
You were
first
going
of all,
up under trees, I think.
Oh, I was getting caught in all the muck on the side.
And it was hot.
And it was hot.
I told you the trees had been washed away. The water was barely moving. It
barely
was
moving.
warm.
I mean, it's moving
summer,
enough, but
there's a lot of the shade of previous years. Yeah, and there's almost no wind.
No shade.
It was not great.
So we make it not that far.
Yeah.
And there's a
Let's
rope.
say if it's like an 8-mile trek, we'd gone maybe 100 yards.
Yeah, it's like minimal
the
distance.
Rope swing, you got to the
there's
rope
a
swing.
rope swing. The young adults get off and the teens get off and they all do the rope swing. By that point, I kind of catch up to the group.
Right.
And then off we go again, and Kiki again just kind of bouncing along. Mm-hmm. And then I spot
Well, you were alerted.
Yeah, I guess I was alerted.
She was alerted to...
no, an oasis is what I'm thinking.
Oh, okay.
And it was a set of stairs.
But you were also alerted because right after those stairs is something called the infamous chute.
The chute.
The chute
as
is...
in CHUTE.
Yeah, and it's where you...
But I would say it should be
people flip and lose stuff when they go down the chute. There are rapids at the bottom of it.
Dang it.
And splashy water is not a Kiki thing.
Yeah. No, I'm not eager. I'm kind of like, what's going on? So I'm hearing about this chute that we're approaching. Nobody can describe it to me other than to say hold on to absolutely everything you own. You might capsize and
not words Kiki wants to hear.
And splashing and all of this stuff. Like, I have no idea. So I see a set of stairs that are like literally just in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. Like, it's just on the side of the river, set of stairs, and there's some people trying to get in. We're not even at the park yet. Yeah, we're not even at the park yet. And so I paddle my way as best as I can.
See, now she can paddle.
Now all of a sudden I can paddle.
Suddenly I can reach everything.
I'll use my little fingertips. And
orangutan arms
I managed to get, and man, when you're trying to like, get
out of a tube,
get one arm out to paddle, know, you're really like your shoulders and your arms and you're really working. So I make it to the stairs. All these people, this family is trying to get in. I am like, I want to get out of this thing. I'm like, I'm just going to get on the stairs and maybe I can find some way to, I don't know, fix this somehow. Like whatever this disaster is that I'm experiencing. And I also had a picture in my head, not just that we were going to be playing music, but that we would be having alcohol and we'd be chatting and talking, and that there would maybe be kind of cool stuff to see on the side of the river, and it would be an engaging experience.
Yes.
And it's none of those things.
None.
I am literally sitting in silence, baking under the sun.
It was pretty hot.
I have no alcohol. I have no water with me because I don't have the cooler.
Which is with Cowboy.
It's with
way ahead.
And so I try to get out of my tube for the first time. And I did not realize, this is total amateur novice, the steps were all slippery, slimy, whatever.
Yes, many people have slipped on the
so I do get out.
Exit.
Well, actually, I didn't get out. I held on to the stairs for dear life with a couple of my fingertips. And I'm just perched there looking around frantically, trying to be like, there's got to be something else. Like there's got to be some other thing or some other way. And the family is just getting further away from me. And so finally I just give up and I let go of the stairs and I just start floating again. And I'm like, I'm so screwed. I'm just resigned to sitting here baking in the sun and just in silence. I have nothing interesting. I can't play them. I can't use my iPhone. I can't do anything. We make it to the park, which is near the chute, but not quite.
Yep.
And so I do manage to get out.
She does.
And I'm like,
she bails.
I'm getting out. And so I get out and then I ask, I'm like, I'm like, where? Cause it literally is like a green, like, part, like a city park.
Yeah, along the side of the river.
Like along the side of the river. And all these people picnicking and doing other stuff. Yep. So I get out. I kind of walk up a little ways, kind of where people would be coming in.
It up right now.
And I ask, I'm like, hey, is there a pickup spot here? And they're like, oh no, you've got to go to the other side and get out the other side. So I'm like, oh, okay, fine. And I think I used my cell phone to actually call. And so I get back in the tube and I go a little further.
It's called Hinman Island Park.
There you go. River. Absolutely.
Hinman Island Park.
So we go a little further and now we're approaching the chute. And I remembered what that person said. So I managed to make it to the other side of the river in the hopes that maybe I can figure some way out of this disaster of a day. Mm-hmm. And as I'm there is a ladder, kind of like you would have a ladder in a swimming pool, like a public swimming pool or something like that, right? So I float over to the ladder. Everybody is starting to prepare to go to the chute. And it's kind of like you imagine it's a narrowing of the river into kind of more of a channel. And all of these tubes are getting stuffed all together and everybody is kind of bumping into one another. And it's like a bunch of bumper cars just kind of all ramming together, kind of feeding into this smaller and smaller space, right?
Yep.
And as I'm holding onto the stairs, there is a gentleman that I do not know talking to his young son, who is probably second or third grade. And the man, the adult, is being quite gruff with his son. And he's like, don't be a pussy. You're going to go through the chute. You're going to be fine. Like, I don't want to hear any complaining and hold on to your stuff. And this is how you're going to do it. And he's giving him like it's like listening
psyching him up. Yeah.
Like he's totally psyching him up. It's it's like listening. Yeah, exactly. Like, here's your plan of attack. And this poor little kid is kind of got like,
yeah, he's honestly scared. I remember the first time I did it.
He and I both have like tears in our eyes because we're both like, I don't want to go. And he's gonna like stop crying, you know. And of course, he's just being
no attention to that woman who clearly won't go. An adult with some sense.
So I'm like, fuck it, and I grab my tube and I climb out.
She's
on
out of
the
river.
ladder, and I am out of the water now. And now I'm on the other side of the water from the park. And there is a little bridge that you can cross over, and you can see people going through the chute down to the other part of the river. It's basically where two parts of the river connect, and they kind of just needed to make a connection, you know, some kind of little channel. And so the family is going through, and I see the most glorious person. and it's a police officer. And I'm like,
help us nearby.
I'm like, oh, thank God, police officer. So I say to the police officer,
this is a tourist attraction. There are people everywhere. It's not like we're alone.
No,
not like she's
we're
unsafe.
not. We're not. And so I say to the police officer, I'm like, okay, I want to get out here, and where do I go? How do I do
We're
it?
not even half an hour
Where's the
into it.
next stop? And they're like, oh, I don't know anything about whatever. You need to talk to a park ranger. So I'm like, well, where do I find a park ranger? So of course, luckily there was one a little ways away. So I walk over to that one. I say the whole same sob story again. And the park ranger is like, oh yeah, there's an exit to the river down around the bend just after the bridge. And I said, oh, great.
Because at this point, you were going to try and catch up with us, yes?
You know, I was going to get back because there's an entryway point. I'm going to get in, and I'm just going to go with us till the first pickup spot,
right?
Wherever the van comes. Because when I got out at the park, they had said there's no pickups here.
That's right. There's
right?
no way to get back to
it's
the
too
start.
close. Yeah. Who in their right mind would want to get out
that
now?
Soon. This is where the fun begins.
We just started.
Yeah.
So I say, this is probably the question that was the good and the bad. And I'm like, how far away is that? And they're like, oh, it's just right there with the bridge. And I said, okay, how long floating? And she's like, oh, that's easily another 2.5 hours floating.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, if it was between that and just gouging my eye out with a spoon, I would have taken the spoon in a second. And so you all are kind of,
I think we'd gone. Have we gone down yet?
You're kind of. There's a few of you had gotten out for some reason, maybe to hit the bathrooms or something like that.
We had gone through the chute, and we're at the bottom.
You'd gone through the
bottom
chute
of the area.
And but I can't have. You know, it's one of those inconvenient moments when you can't have a conversation with your spouse because everybody is around. For one, two, my spouse is sitting in a tube in the water.
Not close to you.
Several feet away from me.
Right.
And I'm trying to shout to him, like, I'm getting out. And he's like, you're having fun? That's great. And I'm like, no, I like not
I'm like, without
so
a doubt.
far.
Was that what you said?
So,
water is raging. I mean, it's
I'm just like, F you, F everybody. I am so done with this. And I did truly feel badly.
I already been drinking a little bit. I was a little bit lucid.
I don't know where. Well, actually, I do.
We drank all of
we drank all of.
Yeah, we didn't plan very well for the alcohol.
No, there was the tiniest
my brother-in-law
flask.
brought a flask, and we had finished it in the first 25 minutes.
Because of course, all anyway,
the younger crowd who were variants of legal age
wanted to have a sip or two.
Had apparently passed something around, and it didn't come back.
So anyway, poor guy, he had put together, and you know how small a flask is. That was just enough for him.
6 ounces.
And
he brought
within
his own
25 minutes,
it was gone.
He's the only person pre-prepared, right? So luckily I had pre-prepared, and at least in my little water pouch with my phone. Now, granted, I am in a public park now. I have no clothes.
Yep.
And I'm just in my
a tube,
water
you got your
shoes,
phone,
tube,
bathing
phone,
suit.
And I had stuffed at least like a credit card, and I have a miserable attitude.
Yes, she's hot.
And but I did have the car key.
You did.
I did have the car key.
That's the only reason you got out.
That was so smart on my part. I was like, I'm keeping that car key.
So what did you do next, Kiki?
So I got to the park, and I called an Uber.
Righto.
And I was like, I don't care how much it costs. And luckily, I looked at 2 different apps. The first app, I'd like you to know your wife saved you $80. It was going to be $80
to go a quarter mile.
To go a quarter of a mile just because they could charge it.
They could.
I ended up spending something like $10 to $20. By comparison, that was a steal.
Yeah.
But what was so hilarious.
That's what we spent on the tube you used for 25 minutes.
Yes. It was $1 a minute.
Yeah, literally.
And so what was so funny though, is, when you order a Lyft or an Uber, you can sometimes say like, I have a bike with me, I need to have I need to have a larger vehicle, whatever. I can't. How do I describe that? I have a huge inner tube with me, and I can't leave the tube because we don't get our deposit back.
Yeah. Got to get that $10.
So I call this person, And they circle around. They finally arrive. They circle around, and they're in a black Lexus.
Nice.
4-door, just regular
As one does
sedan.
in a tourist attraction where water's involved.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sopping wet.
No towel.
No towel.
Yeah, because that wasn't expected.
No, yeah. The person pulls up and he looks at me and he's like, "Are you getting in here with that?" And I'm like, "Yes, I am."
This isn't the kind of tube you can just deflate.
No.
It's like a car tire tube.
Industrial size. Yeah. It's
you
huge.
You need special apparatus to.
So I open the back door, the back seat, and I just literally start,
and
like when you
Kiki's
just kind of run into something to shove it in.
Go.
I'm just like bouncing off
like,
of this inner tube, and I'm like, this thing is fitting in here.
We're going.
And then
I want my $10.
And then I go to sit in the front seat and I'm just sopping wet. I offered to take the floor mat and sit on it, and he's like, at that point, I think he was like, I want to get rid of this crazy lady so badly.
Just get in the car.
He's like, just get in the car. I have leather seats. Just get in the car. So we get in the car, takes me back. I walk in the entrance of the place where we originally came, because of course nobody's walking in. I'm walking in with hefting this giant inner tube, and I'm like, I'm back and I want to return this bloody thing. And so I have the keys, I get in the car and I drive back to the condo, and I have a glorious sandwich and just something to drink, and I just sit on the couch for a minute, and I'm just so relieved. And then I'm overcome with guilt, and I feel really badly, and I'm texting you because I'm just like, I insisted that we go on this thing, and I ruined it.
You did no such thing.
And you were very kind. So you pick up yours because you leave me at the shoot. So I did a lot of talking.
But it was a miserable time. It was hot.
Well, we laughing because I wasn't there.
Yes,
awesome.
So her instincts, I have to tell you, everybody, Kiki's instincts were dead on. I wish I'd gotten out, because for the next 3.5 hours, we slow floated in the Texas sun with almost no shade in this green, murky water.
So sunburned.
With the population was like you could reach a foot left and a foot right, and there was another person almost the entire time. There were, as I was DJing, there were a dozen other DJs in earshot. So music was just all over the place.
Which is very disruptive to you because you really enjoy your music and your vibe, going. And you've got your thing, and then you're getting interference.
A mix. Yes. And you really can't. I couldn't get out of my tube because I'm also attached to the cooler tube. Best I could do is dip my legs down, but it was miserable. It was just, and the kids.
The water was very, very cool.
It was.
Like crisp cool,
except
which
for in
was
some
quite
places
nice.
where it was moving slow and it managed to warm up.
Oh, did it?
So
okay.
It was warm water.
Or is it that somebody peed?
Everybody was peeing. I'm sure
I mean, where else would they?
Yeah, it's a river.
Well, besides that, there's no place to get out.
There's no place to get out. It's all private property.
I did see one private,
nobody got out.
This great little kind of riverside, I would call it a beach club. And for a minute, I was like, I'll just go there to this little place and I'll get a table and I'll have a drink and I'll just wait for them. Mm-hmm. And then there's these huge signs that are basically like no trespassing,
private event,
private club, do not enter, do not climb up here from the river. I was like, oh my God.
So long story short though, got to the end. The kids actually went off on their own, so I was literally pretty much alone.
You were alone, so I left you to. But oh my gosh,
and I was actually just like, this is what I deserve. This is it. This is my life now. I'm sitting here with a bunch of strangers who are not enjoying my company, and
you're not enjoying theirs.
And well, I'm just like, this sucks. But it was nothing like I remembered in my youth. Of course, I had less alcohol available to me at this point.
What a
shade. There was almost no shade.
There was no
Finally,
shade.
I mean, I couldn't get out fast enough.
I was tracking you, by the way.
And she did notice when we got out, she tracked us, so she became our Uber and went back and picked us up.
I did. And I made sure I was there by the time I met you, right as your ride was dropping you off. But
I was dehydrated by then. I was annoyed. I was hot.
The kids
were
miserable.
Tired. Some of them, I think, were sick because they're the ones that drank the alcohol too fast. And it was Everybody was hungry.
It was a
hungry
great time.
And grumpy, yes. And to my siblings who, if you're listening
And then
to this,
your parents didn't
the
go
ones
after
that
all.
stayed back at the condos.
Oh, they had such a great time.
They had a great day in the air conditioning with
They were like,
ice
this
cold
is
drinks,
amazing.
good company, available food.
We took a nap.
They took a nap.
Ate,
we got back angry.
We refreshed our drinks.
We were tired and a whole bunch of hungry teenagers. Chaos. Yeah, so
so we doing it again this year?
Absolutely. I can't wait. It's already on.
I can't wait.
Yeah, but this time, if we do it again, we know
Hey, babe, I really think that maybe we should stay back.
We're staying back this time. So we'll make sure none of the sibs catch a glimpse of this episode. We'll have to say, we'll name this one.
We need to make this by invite only.
Yeah, or we'll just make this one about, let's say this one's all about tortoises and
we'll
birth.
Name it. Yeah, we'll name it something that nobody ever wants to listen to.
We have to change the name to something that no one cares with. This is our longest episode currently.
Oh,
so.
I'm so sorry,
No, that's
everyone.
good. That's
I did
fine.
ramble on a bit, but it was worth it.
It's a drive time show.
I mean, I say that I didn't have to listen to it.
Yeah, she didn't have to listen to it. But so there's our misadventure, everybody. I hope you enjoy it.
Oh man, the stress! I'm feeling it now.
Yes, I know.
Even.
I'm just reliving it. I think I have some trauma.
My blood pressure.
I got to work this out. So once again, thank you for joining us. This is
Kiki,
and I'm Cowboy.
I love you all.
I love you too. Well, I love her. I don't know you guys. All right, that's it. Misadventures out.
Bye.